There are few things in life that make us as emotional as sports do. Any fan of any sport will tell you that, whether it's golf, football, or anything in between. The American football played in the NFL does a particularly good job at drawing out passionate responses from its fans. For every jubilant supporter jumping for joy, there's an equal amount of furious fanatics who have just witnessed their team lose. Let's look at times NFL fans went way too far. Christening of Allegiant Stadium. Seeing your team lose or perform badly is always frustrating. I think we can all agree on that. But if a bad performance is going to happen, you'd absolutely want it to happen during preseason. You know, the games that don't matter in any way and are simply there to get the team sharp and ready for the new season. Who could possibly get so mad about the result of one of those games that they'd make this list? Well, apparently, a lot of people. First up, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders fan who got into a fight with a couple of fans of the visiting Seattle Seahawks. The preseason fixture that saw the Raiders host the Seahawks took place in August of this year, and it was the first game since the beginning of the pandemic in which fans were allowed to attend the Raiders' brand spanking new $1.9 billion Allegiant Stadium. Clearly, this Raiders fan believed the special occasion called for a special type of celebration, and despite the Raiders running away with the game, he still managed to find something to get wound up about and ended up trading punches with not one, but two Seahawk fans. He holds his own pretty well in fairness, but was clearly losing the fight before it came to a sudden stop. Perhaps the three men involved realized they were assaulting each other over a meaningless game with no stakes? Regardless, the Raiders fan left with blood on his jersey, providing him a memorable souvenir of the first game back watching his team live. Sign language. Everyone has an opinion when it comes to sports. It's all part of the fun. We love sitting in our armchairs, waffling on and on about what we would do if we were in charge of our favorite team. And this goes especially true when the team is underperforming. Usually though, this sort of backseat driving is left for social media or chatting with your friends. It doesn't go beyond that. But in 2011, some Denver Broncos fans really decided to take it further, and even an entire wholesale market got involved. All this time, Tim Tebow was only beginning to break out into the NFL, and he was still only a reserve member of the Broncos. But coach John Fox was apparently in the minority of those who felt Tebow wasn't ready for a starting spot. There was a crazy amount of pressure from fans desperate to see Tebow given a starting berth. But the most notable event in this whole saga came when wholesale market Multi-Line International Imports put up a sign outside of their business. The digital board rotated through various images of Tebow with the message, "Broncos fans to Fox, play Tebow," prominently displayed. Obviously, Fox was never going to allow this latest stunt to pressure him into a decision, but it's just a reminder of just how far fans are willing to go to let their voices be heard. A Broncos spokesman attempted to turn this negative into a positive by praising the team's fans for their passion, even if that passion was being harnessed into criticizing their coach's team selection. Please relax, it's just preseason. I bet you thought when we talked about the brawl at the Raiders-Seahawks preseason game that that'd be the only preseason fight on this list, didn't you? Well, guess again. Because not only is this entry another case of NFL fans going a touch too far over a meaningless game, it's from the same damned week. Maybe there was something in the water in August, or maybe there's something about finally getting to step foot into your team's brand new stadium that makes you want to punch something. This time around, it's a game between LA teams Rams and Chargers, two young rivals who no doubt will have seen their relationship heat up thanks to what happened on the 16th of August. It was the first game at the brand new SoFi Stadium, a stadium that the Rams and Chargers will actually share as their home turf moving forwards. The altercation seemed to have begun with some heated words between a group of Chargers fans and an Aaron Donald jersey-clad Rams supporter, eventually turning physical after one of the Chargers fans threw a drink over our Donald cosplayer. The Rams fan then tried to take on four people at once, which ended up about as well as you expect, with him getting surrounded and beaten down. There was also the bizarre separate fight going on between two others, presumably one of them being friends with the Donald fan. Regardless, security eventually arrived to split the whole thing up, by which point the Donald fan had lost his jersey and was covered in blood. The examples we've given so far have been pretty crazy, but at the very least, the most that's come of them is a bloody mouth and a tacky digital sign. This next one stands above both of them, as it was not only another example of fans going too far, its consequences included future games being canceled. Fans ruin everything. If this is beginning to feel comically facial to you, then strap in, because it's about to get quite very serious. In 2011, back when the Las Vegas Raiders were the Oakland Raiders, they had a fierce rivalry with the San Francisco 49ers, a rivalry fueled by the team's close proximity to one another. The two teams actually played in different divisions, so rarely faced one another, but they did partake in a yearly preseason game, a bit of a friendly competition between the two teams who very rarely cross swords in a serious environment. It should have been a rather innocuous piece of history, and then the reports rolled in. After the end of the game, in which the 49ers picked up a dominant 17-3 victory, news broke out of two horrific incidents that would change things forever. Firstly, during the fourth quarter, a man had been beaten unconscious in the bathroom to the point that he was suffering from life-threatening injuries and had to be hospitalized. That would be bad enough, but after the game had finished, things went even further, as two separate incidents of shootings occurred. Both victims survived, but once again, were hospitalized in critical condition. As you'd expect, the mayors of both Oakland and San Francisco issued a joint statement denouncing the violence, and very quickly the NFL saw no no choice but to intervene. The hassle just wasn't worth it, so all preseason games between the teams were banned. Eventually, the Raiders relocated, ending the geographical part of the rivalry entirely, but we still didn't get to see the teams battle in preseason until the ban was finally lifted this year. Random brawls in the midst of a crowd spurred on by a rush of blood are one thing, but shootings really are a case of these fans going way too far, kicking a man when he's down. Hey look, it's the 49ers again. This incident took place following a game at Levi's Stadium, where the 49ers absolutely trounced the Vikings. You'd think that as a result as decisive as the 20-3 drubbing enjoyed by the 49ers would put their fans in a good mood. They'd actually be happy, and they certainly wouldn't feel some burning desire to go around punching up opposition fans. Alas, that was not the case. There were defenses made for what happened after the Vikings-49ers game, with claims that it was a Vikings fan who antagonized the 49ers, inviting them to fight and hurling verbal abuse. That in mind, this wasn't a single punch to shut up a motor mouth. This was a brutal mugging that went way over the line. Reportedly, the Vikings fan made the admittedly foolish mistake of approaching a group of 49ers fans, challenging them to a fight, and then turned his back. One of the 49ers supporters promptly tackled him to the ground, at which point the rest surrounded him and began to kick and punch him without mercy. The Vikings fan tries to get away, but it's only after intervention from other San Francisco fans and a security guard that he is finally saved from the assault. 3 suspects were arrested, one of them having their season tickets revoked by the 49ers, who unsurprisingly weren't very happy with one of their fans taking part in such a cruel beatdown, Washington stabbing. And finally, a 2015 Monday night game between Washington and their rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, ended in a huge upset victory for the latter, which stung both because it meant Washington had lost to their rivals, but also because it dealt a huge blow to their chances of reaching the playoffs. Tensions boiled over, and very quickly a fight broke out in the concourse, with someone apparently being stabbed. Though that was never confirmed. Police did find a knife from the crime scene, however. Thankfully, nobody was hospitalized. But when a knife's involved, things can go very bad very quickly. And that's our list. Sport can be an excellent way of uniting people with a common passion, but seemingly just as often, it can lead to violence and aggression. Are there any other examples we missed? Feel free to let us know in the comments. And until next time, avoid preseason games.